You know that feeling, right? That first sip of coffee in the morning, it feels like a switch flips in your brain, taking you from a groggy zombie to an actual human. Well, it's not magic, but it is some seriously fascinating brain chemistry. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the world's favorite psychoactive drug, caffeine. Let's get into it.
I mean, this quote, it hits home for so many of us. That feeling that your brain just will not turn on until you get that caffeine fix. It's more than just a little morning habit. For a lot of people, it feels like a deep biochemical need. So, what is actually going on up there that makes us feel so dependent?
Ah yes, the dreaded skipped coffee. That pounding headache, the inescapable brain fog, feeling irritable at everything. I promise you, that's not just in your imagination. Those are real physical symptoms of withdrawal. And the reason for all that misery lies in a molecular battle happening inside your brain. Let's break it down.
And this brings us right to the caffeine conundrum. How can this one substance, this thing that makes us feel so sharp and productive, also be the cause of so much literal, physical pain when we don't have it? The answer is all about how it messes with our brain's natural rhythm.
Okay, so to really get what caffeine is doing, we first need to meet the molecule it's fighting against. This is the chemical that your body naturally produces to make you feel sleepy. It's called adenosine, and it's basically your brain's built-in off switch.
So, meet adenosine. The easiest way to think about it is like a sleep debt tracker for your brain. From the moment your eyes open in the morning, your brain starts producing it. The longer you're awake and the more energy you use, the more adenosine builds up. It creates this growing, undeniable pressure to sleep.
The whole process is actually pretty elegant. As the adenosine levels in your brain rise, those molecules start looking for a place to go. They find these specific receptors that they fit into perfectly, kind of like a key sliding into a lock. Once enough of these receptors are filled, bam, the time to sleep signal is sent out, and you start to feel that wave of tiredness.
So, if adenosine is the molecule trying to guide you gently to sleep, caffeine is the imposter that crashes the party. It's really clever, actually. It doesn't get rid of the adenosine, it just runs a brilliant little undercover op to stop you from feeling its effects.
And here is the absolute secret to caffeine's power. Just look at these two molecules. On a structural level, they are almost identical. Caffeine is basically adenosine's molecular doppelganger. It's such a convincing look-alike that your brain's receptors literally can't tell the difference. This is the key to everything.
Okay, so here's the sciencey term for it, but what does adenosine receptor antagonist actually mean? Well, think back to our key and lock analogy. Caffeine is like a piece of gum jammed into the keyhole. It swoops in, fits into the receptor, and just sits there. It plugs the lock, so the real key, adenosine, can't get in to do its job. The result? You feel wide awake, totally alert, but all that sleep pressure is still building up, silently in the background.
Now, this whole system works beautifully until the caffeine wears off and you don't replace it. Your brain has gotten used to this constant blockade, and when it's suddenly gone, withdrawal kicks in hard. And now, thanks to some incredible imaging technology, we can actually see what that withdrawal looks like.
So back in 2022, a study looked right at this. Researchers took a group of mice and gave them the human equivalent of about 5 cups of coffee a day for a whole month. Then they stopped it, cold turkey. And 24 hours later, they scanned their brains to see what was going on. The results were pretty dramatic. Key networks in the brain got all out of whack and became asymmetrical. That default mode network, the part of your brain that's active when you're just resting or daydreaming, it basically vanished. Hello, brain fog. And here's the kicker. They saw a huge, significant spike in activity in the parts of the brain that process pain. And there it is. That's the scientific proof. That throbbing, can't think straight headache you get when you miss your coffee, it is 100% real. It's not just a feeling, it's a measurable neurological event. Your brain is genuinely firing off pain signals.
Okay, so we've seen the problem right down to the molecule. But don't worry, this isn't all doom and gloom. Now let's talk about the solution. There's a practical, science-backed way to step back from caffeine without going through all that withdrawal pain.
The key insight, the whole secret, is this brilliant piece of advice. You reduce the intensity of your caffeine, not the frequency of your habit. See, instead of fighting that daily coffee ritual you love, you just strategically and slowly change what's actually in your cup. It lets your brain adjust without sounding all the withdrawal alarms.
So here's exactly how it works. You grab your normal bag of coffee, but you also buy a high-quality decaf that you like.
You start by just making your cup with, say, 3/4 regular and 1/4 decaf. Then, over a few weeks, you slowly, gradually up the amount of decaf. The change is so slow that your brain's receptors don't get that sudden shock. You're gently coaxing your system back to normal.
So at the end of the day, caffeine isn't really a villain. It's not inherently good or bad. It's just a molecular imposter that happens to be exceptionally good at its job. And by understanding exactly how it fools our brains, we get to be the ones in charge of that relationship, instead of letting it be in charge of us.
So now you know caffeine's secret. You know it's a molecular mimic, an imposter at the party. The real question is, armed with this knowledge, how are you going to manage your relationship with the world's favorite drug? The choice is yours.